Hey guys, good to see you all. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Please write in the chat if its sound is okay. Okay. Today, yes, I'm just waiting for the first message. Oh, perfect. Very, very good. Look, well, I'm very excited because that's first time I'm really trying to do a new setup, to make a new setup of my new gear. That is basically now I'm able to transmit in HD, in high definition, and I tried it basically this Sunday, and it was not really a good experience because my connection was too slow. So now I'm back home, and here at home I have a very good connection. So from now on, that's why I moved now to do the webinars on the days where I'm working at home, and that's the Tuesdays. And so all my webinars from now on, I don't know about all, but at least many of them will be on Tuesdays. And right now it's 8 o'clock Copenhagen time. For you guys that are in North America is some other time, but it's 8 Copenhagen time. It's Central European time, CET. 7 o'clock in England. So last time I got a message from one of the people that was on my webinar and say, well, this guy, he did not say who he is, basically. So I feel that I need to to tell you guys who I am. So it's a personal message for you, and well, I am a human being that has different facets, or multifaceted, how would you say? I'm a telecom engineer, so I had a long career as telecom engineer, project manager. I'm also a jazz musician, playing piano and guitar. As you see, I have a lot of instruments here. It's a piano, you can see, and I have drums here, and actually also a double bass. So it's a very big part of me, my grand piano and my guitars. So it's also part of me. And when I was working as engineer, I was kind of not really talking about that because it was like I have to be serious. And now I'm very, very serious. But being serious also means connecting different parts of yourself into one. So, telecom engineer, project manager, jazz musician. I'm also a breathing therapist, Buteyko therapist. I just got level 5 in Buteyko world, which is a high level. So I can educate other professionals, breathing professionals. And I'm also working with nutrition. I cannot call myself nutritionist because I don't have a degree there, but I have pretty good results connecting breathing and nutrition and movement and mental training. I will also working as a mental trainer. So can one human being be all of that? Yes. For me, at least, the answer is yes, with the addition of love and excitement. Excitement for what I'm doing, and love is what I'm trying basically to spread, both in my near environment and to the people on my boot camp. I'm working with brain tumors. That's my main work every single day. So I'm not really surprised that I finding myself working in as a practical health trainer, and I also all of these you see is very practical. Engineering, connecting engineering with project management, with improvisation as a musician, knowing physiology as a breathing therapist. So now I wrote my first scientific paper on integrative health for the medical publisher Elsevier. And also at the same time, I'm teaching now health professionals in my own certification program, the Sakharov Protocol. And I have both doctors and physiotherapists there. Okay, and next year I'm starting also, right now I'm doing a program in Danish. Next year I'm starting also during January, I think. I'm starting it in English. So what has driven me all the way is a deep belief in balance. All things in nature, society and technology are interdependent. And that's what we engineers do. We connect the dots. So, and we also as engineers, we need to know where is the point of failure or single point of failure. And I believe that imbalances, also in physiology, in metabolic imbalances, can be solved when we detect the point of failure. Okay? So I have also been driven by deep longing after purpose all my life. And today I can say that not only did I find my purpose also found me. It was a long process. Well, yes, I've been working as an engineer. I also, after being engineer, I started my music school, private music school, where I taught music. Well, basically personal development through music. Then I worked with mental training. Then I started working with athletes, with athletic performance, and then working with illness. So it was a long way. So yes, my purpose found me, and we're working overtime together, my purpose and me, to bring a new health paradigm into the world. And I have a fantastic partner, Carsten Lego, which is we are working together every single day, building out programs. We've been working for 6 years now. So, okay, physiology. In my work, I also work with Alzheimer's patients and glioblastoma, not patients, but basically clients. Patients are patiently waiting. People I'm working with, they are not patients. They are not patiently waiting. They are clients. I teach them and connect the dots of physiology and physiology and teaching different training regimens and supporting them. So I found, working with Alzheimer's and glioblastoma, brain tumors, I have found a striking common cause. In both cases, it seems that the human environment and behavior can cause different problems in the brain environment for the two different groups of brain cells. So, in one case, when the human environment is suboptimal, it can make the neurons degenerate and die. And then the neurodegenerative disease is triggered, and one of which is Alzheimer's disease. I'm also actually have a client with Parkinson's, which is showing a progress. Absolutely the same way of working. In another case, when the human environment is suboptimal, it can make helper cells, which is glia cells or astrocytes, become cancerous and form cancerous tumors, as glioblastoma, astrocytoma, different kind of gliomas, and DIPG. So you see, in both cases, the causes are the same. It's human environment and the lifestyle. And the only difference is in the personal genetic setup of the two people that will trigger uninhibited cell division for one case, and that's cancer, or cell degeneration and death in another case. That's neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and different kinds of dementia. So the difference lies in the different degree of metabolic flexibility of the two groups of brain cells. The neurons are very simple and inflexible cells, and the helper cells, the glia cells, have more sophisticated and flexible structure and function. So, why I'm talking about this? Because I'm talking about what is the causes and what are the symptoms. So, when we're talking about genetic setup, so when your genetic setup includes some compromised gene parts or pairs that mostly affect brain neurons, they are forced to change, the brain neurons. And being simple and inflexible, they can only degenerate and die. Then you are most probable to develop Alzheimer's. And when your genetic setup includes some compromised gene pairs that mostly affect glia cells, that's the helper cells, the genitors, they are forced to change. And they are more sophisticated and flexible in structure and function, so they can mutate and they can survive that way. So then you are most probable to develop a brain tumor. So these and other severe conditions caused by human environment and behavior also share another similarity. When they are targeted with medicine, surgery, or radiation, the causes are left untouched to eventually produce new symptoms in the future. And this is not good, because that's when we are talking about how is 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years survival, and then we're not talking about survival. And that's where after 5 years, that's where the secondary cancers are coming. That's why it's very crucial to talk about that. So the metabolic approach that I'm working with, and I call it Non-Pharmacological Metabolic Approach, an NPMA. And that's what also I wrote my last article about. It's a slow process, but it does the job, changing the human environment and the behavior. And it can improve the environment for the cells and also for the whole body. If and when you comply. Because compliance, that's the hardest thing. We can talk, about different ways of working with physiology. But at the end of the day, what really helps people, it's compliance. To stick with the protocols, to really understand that what heals, it's a slow process. And understanding a slowness of process is not easy. Okay? So you have to comply and stick to the strict regimen. And the compliance, that's what heals. If not, the passivity can be, and very often is, mortal. Working with such deadly diagnoses can be an ordeal. In my work, I have had both wins and losses. Right now, the last years, I had very good wins. But in the process, I witnessed the close friends that first won a battle with the GBM, and then lost his battle with a secondary tumor. That's why I'm talking about secondary tumors, about how crucial it is to understand the difference between the healing process and the maintenance, and that the maintenance after the healing is not really so much different for very aggressive brain tumors, because we have to bear it in mind, that secondary tumors. Okay? I also witnessed a young girl diagnosed with DIPG having the last few months of her life darkened by a whole array of medical errors. It happened 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago. That's why I started my boot camp from announcing that I would like to work with DIPG. It's very, very hard working with DIPG, with children. Basically with children, it's very hard to work with children. And on our boot camp, we have also children, 5 and 7 years old, and we have people up to 72 with brain tumors. So luckily, I have also seen many clients recover from diseases that are regarded by conventional medicine as incurable, and reach a state of what they claimed was better health than ever before. So in those things, they are kind of life lessons for me. And that's why I'm having these webinars, and I really want you guys, I want to inspire you guys. Today we're going to talk about how to connect the dots, and we're also going to show you the video with a testimonial, with the story, the personal story of a person that reversed glioblastoma and his wife. So I want really to formulate the following, and the following is, it's two things. It is possible to reverse glioblastoma, most well advanced and aggressive brain tumors, by strict compliance to a metabolic approach. It is possible. I know it. And also I know that if a sufferer of a very aggressive brain tumors as a GBM, if he or she reaches a tumor remission, he cannot return to the old lifestyle. That kills. Okay? Yeah. And that's my learning. And what I want to show you, guys, it's the basically how I work. And yes, I need to have some San Pellegrino. I actually found some very, very good water, and I will write how it's called. Ferrarelle. Greatest water. And it's Italian. Ferrarelle. Red label here. So it can be sourced in Copenhagen, can be sourced in an Italian supermarket that is called Supermarco. Okay, guys, look, I want to show you my protocol. My protocol is like that. You see, it's called Sakharov protocol, and we are connecting the dots. So how do we do this? How do we optimize a cellular environment? Because if we want to work, if we want to work with reversing the causes of the diseases and moving the triggers of the disease, we need to work on cellular environment. We need to work on nutrition. We need to work with respiration, cellular respiration. Which is also, nutrition is a part of it. We need to work with signaling. We need to work with structure, extracellular matrix, detoxification, the flow of extracellular, intracellular fluid, permeability of the membranes, both cellular membranes, mitochondrial membranes, and so on and so on. And that's for all the tissues, muscles, bones, organs, blood, lymph. So how do we do this? We can actually do it by mapping a human environment to the cellular environment, so which will make it basically actionable. And why actionable? Because you see, on the human environment, we can optimize energy intake efficiency, which is the first group, nutrition, respiration on the cellular environment. We also have nutrition, we also have breathing, and we can optimize both. That's what we do. And it maps directly into cellular environment, and we can measure it through blood and through something what we call control pause from the Buteyko technique, which is basically how body reacts to improved tolerance of carbon dioxide, which is one of the major hormones. Yes, guys. Carbon dioxide is one of the major hormones that regulate many, many different things in the body. And they're coming more and more knowledge about this. Okay? So what we can do afterwards, when we have this energy, we have optimized it. We have a pool of energy. And we can now optimize how we use this energy. And that's what this is, a blue figure, the blue triangle. We call it allostatic resilience triangle. That's how we optimize energy distribution efficiency, mental, physical, and immune. All of those things, they map into doable, basically into the tools that I'm using for my one-to-one clients, or I used it because I don't take one-to-one clients anymore. I only work with my online programs right now. And then you can see we have unique pairs where we connect this. You see, just a second. Yes, here. So this picture basically shows how we are working. You see, this is basically the star with 5 ends, and we have the energy intake here. We optimize, and then we have the triangle here, and that's what we call the Vitruvian Man from Leonardo da Vinci. This is doable. All of this is doable. So, and that's what I wrote. I want to show you. That's my first scientific article, the book, The Science of Hormesis in Health and Longevity. It just came out on the Elsevier publishers, and I just want to show my article here. Buteyko breathing technique and ketogenic diet as potential hormetins in non-pharmacological metabolic approaches for health and longevity. And it's a pretty long article. And you see we have here, we have the protocol that you just saw. I call it Universal Protocol for Health and Resilience here because calling a separate protocol there, I had no guts basically to do it. So, okay. So, what I want to show you right now, before we go to the interview, to the live interview, I want to show you a little bit how we do that on our bootcamp. And we're working with brain tumors, reversing brain tumors. Yeah, basically what we have, every person on a bootcamp has an online log like this, and as you can see, we have different tabs, and beneath the line, the line where we have keto, we measure ketones, glucose. We have daily log with sleep hacking, with optimization of sleep, with optimization of breathing, with intermittent fasting, with weight, with physical exercise. Then we have blood tests, which are big blood tests that we have from the hospital or from the doctor. Then we measure progress. We have some charts. We have meal plans. We have some examples. This is, every person has its own login, its own log online. So basically, we can also see on our bootcamp, we work daily. We have daily Q&As, 1 hour. And everybody attend, and everybody share their experience and ask questions. And we have a large, searchable knowledge base with video answers, like about 300 video answers to all of these the questions that are arising during the first weeks of training. And so what we are doing when we are connecting, I just showed you this energy intake efficiency. And you see, one thing here is breathing. That's the red line. And the breathing is very crucial. So what we do with breathing, we're using Buteyko technique. And Buteyko technique, it's we can measure pulmonary ventilation criteria. And we can basically see the progress, and which is indirectly correlated with the rates of mitochondrial respiration. And it's big words to take in my mouth, but what I see, what I believe really, that we can do that. And we can do that from measuring some reflexes. And these reflexes that are basically telling us the story of how our body reacts to carbon dioxide levels accumulating in our blood, in the alveoli. in the lungs. And what we are basically changing, we are changing the threshold that the body have towards the carbon dioxide. Basically, it gets less and less sensitive to carbon dioxide, allowing more and more carbon dioxide to be within our system. Okay? And so we go through the disease, you see there, to super endurance. We reach normality first. And in normality level of control pause, what is called of 60 seconds, Buteyko legacy of Dr. Konstantin Buteyko, a Russian medical doctor, that basically says that cancer cannot exist at the normal mitochondrial respiration levels. And and that corresponds to partial pressure of carbon dioxide of 6.5%, or 60 seconds control pause. That's the 60 seconds control pause. That's the our ability to basically, after a normal exhalation, if you relax after normal exhalation and you make a breath hold, the first desire to breathe and the first traction, the first reaction of the body comes after 60 seconds. And when people have cancer, it's about 5-10 seconds. And I will show you how it connects with everything. So what we are doing, basically, we having the table where we are writing every day, we're writing measurements, we're writing training with not only Buteyko technique, but also respiration device, Frolov device. So all of this is connecting, in the end of the day, to some tables where we analyze the weekly results. And from the other side, we're also working with nutrition. And with nutrition, we can also measure. We're doing something called essential ketogenic, which is not only ketogenic, where the body cells drive their energy mostly from their shift from having glucose as the preferable source of fuel to ketone bodies and free and lipids, fatty acids, basically. And that's called ketosis. And we can measure it. And we not only can measure ketosis, but we also measure glucose levels. And this connects into something called glucose ketone indicator. And that's the system that is formulated by Professor Seyfried from Boston University. What it also says where we are coming into the regimen, not unmanaged growth, but managed growth of cancer, where we have a ratio of glucose to ketones around 1. And often it goes from 50-80 down to 2-3-1. And this is a very therapeutic place to be. So, and that's how we are writing this. And we also have a log that's called keto-gluco. And you see the glucose-ketone ratio with green. It's green. It turns green automatically when it's around 1. So you see blood glucose is very low, blood ketones are very high. And that's the measurement of these months, basically. It's I just took screenshots of those things. That's how we measure healing, basically. And then everything goes into a table where you can see we have week averages. So you see, we last week was week 49, and the week averages for this person was very good. And you see, control pause was going up, and this is really, really great. So you see, when the control pause is going up, it looks like that. You see the blue table just beneath here. That's the blue the blue line. That's the morning control pause. And it was going up from 14 in just 7 weeks up to 49. And this person with a brain tumor. So it's a kind of a speedy recovery. And at the same time, you see the morning pulse is going down. And the pulse fall you can see in the column K is also positive, meaning that the morning pulse is getting, and that's the next one here. You can see the evening pulse and the morning pulse, and they are basically on the right side. Morning pulse is always lower than the evening pulse, and that's great. And the GK ratio is also very low. So what's happening here? I just want to show you that another person basically just a second. It was a little fault here because that was the right one. That was the right one. We can see the GK ratio, column F, falling from 14 to 4.6, which is on the way to healing. So now I can show you that it's not just a coincidence. All the people, when they are healing the brain tumors, and I also work with some other cancers, you see they show the same progress of healing. And this is fantastic to see that the symptoms slowly disappear. The stability, the brain fog, or inability to find right words, how flowing is your talking, a lot of different other things, ability to move, and also overall energy, a lot of different symptoms that we are tracking. But so it's really a great experience, and I feel like I'm a happy man. So I found my destination, or how do you say, destiny? I don't know. We have a great work there. So guys, what I want to show you now, I want to show you a testimonial. Well, it's basically an interview with a client of mine, and his name is Gert Inge, and he's a very good musician. He's a classical violinist, works in one of the Europe's finest orchestras, and he recovered for glioblastoma. We've been working with my protocol, and here is the story.
My name is Gert Inge Andersson, and I am 54 years old. One day in the spring I got an epileptic situation where I collapsed, and my lovely wife, she didn't accept it, the first version from the doctors, who was saying that can always happen once for everyone. So she took me to my doctor and forced them to make scanning, and the result came out 2 weeks after, and it turned out I had a tumor in the brain. First, I didn't know if it was an aggressive or if it was a harmless tumor. I didn't know anything about it. But after an operation I did on 3rd of May, it turned up to be, I could say, it was a glioblastoma tumor. I was quite lucky in the operation because I managed to take out everything but plus a little bit more, as the surgeons said to me, and I always wondered what this little bit more was. But she told me she was able to take out the whole tumor. And of course I was in total shock. It was very, very shocking to get this diagnosis when you think you're still young and you still think you have many, many years ahead in your life. And in my situation, I have a 10-year-old son, and I also have older children, but never ever put any thoughts I wouldn't be there for many years. So suddenly to get this very serious disease was very scaring, really scaring. It was panicking. It was because he understood very quickly to take away one brain tumor is not like something you just take away. It's very aggressive, and it will most of the times come back. And of course you can't operate once per month and take it out. So it was very scary. It was panicking. Many friends contacted me and my wife, Lotte, and was saying many different things. I could do that, I could do that, I could do that. And in the beginning you get totally confused because you don't know what you could believe, and you can't try everything. It's impossible. You have to find out what you believe most on. And luckily, one of the friends who wasn't the most pushing was a colleague in our orchestra. He just talked about what he had done with Misha. And in the beginning I thought first, can that work? And I didn't really. I was very confused, to say it like that. Lotte, my wife, she called Misha, and that was basically 3 days after my operation. I felt really bad. I had a horrible headache and was puking all the time, and it was absolutely awful. And Lotte called me in the hospital and said, well, I actually called Misha Sakharov, Russia guy. And I think that could be a good idea to try. And first I was again more skeptic, but I said it can't be now anyway, because I feel so horrible, I feel so sick, I can't stand to see anyone else. But so that takes later on. Let's wait. So, but anyway, after 2-3 more days in the hospital, they didn't want me to have it there, and they sent me home. And I came home, I sat in the garden, and Lotte came out in the garden and said, well, actually, just I spoke with Misha. And he will come. He insists to come. And he did. The day after I came home from hospital, Misha was here, and he started to talk about this possibility to make this battle against glioblastoma, and what you could do about it and so. And I started. Same day, I changed everything. The diet, I got the exercising. It took a long time before I could see any points with these breathing things, because it was torture. It was awful, and also the food was nightmare, because the only thing I would like to have was toasted bread and a bit of ice cream. But I worked on and sat well with my bacon and egg and tried to get liver in me it was also not the easiest part. Minister said very often it should be not even cooked, which was really difficult, really difficult.
So you see, I will make some breaks. I will just comment on some things. The first thing he said that I want to comment, that he said, they managed to take out everything. And that's what is the thing about glioblastoma, which is a tumor and other tumors with very high degree of heterogeneity, which means populations or of different types of cancer cells and different kinds of mutations is very big. So there's a lot of different populations, maybe between, some say 50 up to 100 different kind of mutations in the same tumor. So it's a very high degree of heterogeneity. That's why you cannot really target it with targeted approaches, because there are too many populations. And so they managed to take out everything. Look, the normal tumor average, the amount of cells, it's 13 power of 10, which is 10 trillion cells. And the best they can do when they say that they took out everything, the best they can do, it take 99%. And you know how much is left? 11 power of 10, which means 100 billion cancerous cells. That's why what we are doing after the cure is most crucial. So Gert Inge, he's coming after this. We stopped working. Well, he's not stopped working. He's measuring everything. He's working. He's doing all of these things. But we are not seeing each other as much, because during the 8 months of work, 7-8 months of work, he learned the protocol, and he's doing all the training, and he knows the nutritional regimen. He knows everything. So now he's coming just once a month to talk to me. Okay, yeah. So that's the maintenance. In the maintenance, we have to remember that the cells that are left, we need to ensure that these 100 billion that are left after they manage to take out everything, we have to deal with that, and we have to be 100% sure. You can never be 100% sure, but we have to be very, very close to be sure that the microcellular environment is good. That's why we are doing absolutely the same measurements in the period. I don't know how many years, but we are basically keeping to the regimen, to the nutritional regimen, to breathing training. And now I worked with the longest. It's a CLL leukemia, and that's a friend of playing in the other orchestra, Anders, that basically said Gert Inge about me. And we are now worked for 5 years with CLL leukemia, where the leukocyte count is coming down all the time. And it's without radiation, without any toxic therapy, without transplant, and without chemo. So he's coming here also once a month. They are here in Denmark. So now I'm working with the people worldwide. Most of my clients coming from Canada and US and England and actually Scotland. So it's English-speaking countries. We have also a couple of people from Denmark on the boot camp. But they cannot come here. When people are healed, we're gonna meet each other online and check the tables, check the log sheets, everything. So let me start again. Just a second. And that's again. We're resuming the last week.
Related.
But
Misha was very
from 7 here, just around here.
Ja.
But anyway,
Det är faktiskt rätt viktigt.
ja, det är viktigt, ja. 22nd of May, I came to the hospital to talk with the new doctor. And when I already had been in this diet for 2 weeks, and I met this new doctor in the hospital, and she explained me what I was going to walk through. That was chemotherapy in 6 weeks, and
6 months.
No, 6 weeks. 6 weeks, and strålning. Vad fan heter det? Radiation every day for 6 weeks. And she was extremely concerned if I could be able to make it with this special diet Misha had put me on, because she said, you will never be able to get through this treatment. It will be much too hard for you. And that made me a bit confused again, because when doctor says that, is it right or is it not right? But still, Misha was very insistent, and I said, okay, I try both. I go with both horses, And started the treatment. 30th May I started, and I had 6 weeks I had to face. And I have to say that was no problem at all. I didn't got any cortisone at all through this treatment, which was very unusual. The doctor was surprised after the 6 weeks. And I could make all the exercise and Misha wanted me to do, and I could keep my diet. Of course, I lost weight, but I have to say it was actually only fat. I was a big boy before. I was over 100 kilo. And of course I lost a lot of weight, but I felt very strongly I didn't lose any muscles, so I still could do the exercising as I was normally able to do. And of course the doctor was very concerned when she saw me losing the weight, but she had wrong. She had wrong, totally wrong. After the 6 weeks I could go to her office and say, well, here I am, and I feel very good, feel very light, feel very strong, and full of power to continue. And then I had 4 weeks pause from the hospital. It was lovely, and I could feel my body was losing all this chemo and blah blah, and I felt very strong, and started the new treatment in August now for 6 months I have from August, which is not so bad. And I went on a bicycle ride to Stockholm, which are nearly 700 kilometers from where I live. I hardly didn't tell anyone that before, because I was too scared if I wouldn't be able to do it, manage. But I did. Took a week. It was a fantastic experience to do it and to enter Stockholm city, which no one was there with champagne. I had to buy it myself. But it was very, very fantastic. Very fantastic, strong feeling in my body to manage that. And through all this work, I have been working with these breathings, and Misha has pushed me very good, I have to say. When I haven't believed it works, he said, no, continue, you will be able. And when I reached the goal CP 40-60, I was so happy. Now I'm 40-60. And then Misha starts to talk about, well, now you have to reach 60-90. And that was science fiction. I thought, that's not possible. It's totally impossible to reach 60. No, you will see, you will be able to do it. I couldn't believe it. And that was beginning of September. And I was so totally surprised when I, for 3-4 weeks ago, passed the line, and I passed 60-90. I wondered what was happening in my body, because suddenly I was not at all any problem to do it. I couldn't believe it. And certainly not for a half year ago when I started. I think it was up in 14 seconds or 15 or something there. The only thing that was happened from the hospital side is I got my first MR scanning for 4 weeks ago, and that was the first control after the whole thing have started for half a year ago. And of course I was very nervous, and I came to talk with the doctor, and she said, well, we can see something in the brain which shouldn't be there. We don't know what it is. It don't have to be the tumors back. It can be something from the radiation. We don't know, but it could be the tumor. We don't know. And I got really scared, because if it was back, what now? Nothing. What now? It would really be going down the mountain and have a big hill facing you. So I had to make a new PET scanning, where they could see more detailed about what it was in my brain. And thank God, 1 week after, she called me, the doctor, and saying it's false alarm, it's nothing, everything looks great. So yeah, so I'm very optimistic for the future. I strongly believe this will end very, very good. I really, really, really believe that. And of course I still continue working, and I still continue with everything. And the bonus side is I lost all this weight. And
So how much weight did you lose?
24 kilo I lost. And the last 10 years I had a huge battle to lose weight.
So it's your weight you've been for 25 years old or something like that?
I haven't been this weight for 30 years. I mean, I am now 78, what I was when I was 20. So it's 30 years, 35 years.
So what is about this? Now you are in a management phase, or in the maintenance phase. Will it be different? Are you going to fall back on something that you used to eat before?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. The diet is no problem. The diet is, of course, it's Christmas time now. I can see with things in the shops and say, oh yes, of course I will, yeah, to be honest, but no, I am not tempted. I have a small hole. I take blueberries, a small 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 blueberries sometimes, and puts in very, very fat cream, and it tastes marvelous. It does.
So are you still measuring glucose and ketones, so you know where you should be?
I know where I do. I take the glucose every morning. Keto, sometimes I forgot to buy, and it can go maybe 5 days between, but 4, 5, 6 days between the keto, and it stays 0.5, 1.5 there around. The glucose stays most of the time very stable around 4.1, 4.0, 4.2.
Okay, guys. So this is well, it's I think it's a very inspiring interview, and you see just a couple of notes. I want to tell you that he did not use. There was no cortisol at all, and this is This is really great. We were, doctors were surprised. Yes, and it's possible because we reduce inflammation and in other ways than with medicine. We reduce inflammation through changing the brain cell, the cell environment, through breathing, through nutrition, through working with also mental training, with moderate movement. Also, he did not lose any muscle. That's another thing. He lost weight, so there was no cachexia, which is muscle wasting for energy. That is very often that the doctors are talking about. So he did not lose any muscle. Ketones are muscle sparing, have a muscle sparing effect, which is great. And you see, he also said that he was biking. He took a bike ride to Stockholm, where he comes from. He's a Swede living in Denmark, and it's 700 kilometers. He took in 1 week. We actually have a video about that. I will show you another time. And he was using, when biking to Stockholm, he was using also biking here. He was using an elevation training mask. I can show you how it looks like. You see, normally I'm training myself when I'm playing tennis. I'm using it also. That's the old model of elevation training mask. He used a new one. So you can adjust valves here to different levels of basically of air hunger, and what you are adjusting is it has some correlation to height training. That's why it's called elevation training mask. So you rebreathe a lot of carbon dioxide. So you change in this way you change push the tolerance for carbon dioxide up. And he used a newer version 3 of elevation training mask. I have version 2, and it looks like Darth Vader, totally. So, yeah. So, and he said that I pushed him. Yes, you see, pushed or nudged him every day. That's the same thing that I'm doing for my people here on my boot camp. I'm nudging them, I'm inspiring them, I'm pushing them every day. So he said that 40-60, he reached 40 control pause and maximum pause of 60. He couldn't believe that it was possible to come further to 60 and 90, but it was, yeah. And before the first scanning, he was very nervous, and his glucose went up and ketones went down, and we call it scanxiety. Scanning anxiety. Very, very normal. So then the doctor said, we can see something that shouldn't be there. He was more scared. And then the second scanning with PET, and then we found out it was a scar tissue. What the doctor said. That's the same story as before, also I experienced. So the bonus also, he lost 24 kilos weight. Last time he had this weight for 30 or 35 years ago. And also before he said about the diet that it was awful. Now he said, no, the diet is not a problem. He's learning this. And he was using what I call essential ketogenic, which means we are using 4 essential nutrients. And that's all from animal world. We are taking everything from plant world out. So this is good quality animal protein, good quality animal fats, good quality collagens from bone broth, inner meats or offal, or different kind of organs, internal organs like liver and brain and sweetbreads, different kinds of organs. So we are using to get all the vitamins, all the micronutrients from that, and it's perfectly doable. Yeah. So the last part I want to show you, it's a little bit, it's about breathing, and it's also about, he has a little message, let me tell you.
One day can be out.
1733 is from here. Yeah.
Between 0.5 and 1.5 in this management phase is perfect.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So what about breathing? Are you gonna keep on doing breathing exercises? Now you have a measurement, kind of a 60-90. That's
Well, I make the easiest exercise I find is the walking, because I walk at least once per day, and now I can't really stop making this walking, breathing in 2-step and count steps when you walk out and breathing. So yes, of course I will continue. Of course. The fluoro, the bottle, fluoro. I don't know. This follow
device, the breathing device.
Breathing device. I hate, but I try to do it. I do it, of course. I do it every day. Not every day I do it twice. I should. Yeah, I know. But at least I do it once. But I hate it. It's so boring. But I try to do it every day, and I understand the point. I know the point. And my tumor in my head, I know it was totally operated to gone, but I also know it's not gone. It's still there. I see it as a dragon. Dragon now sleeps, and if I don't do the things I have to do, the dragon will wake. So it's very inspiring to think about this evil dinosaur you have in your head. So if you feel you don't want to do it, think about the dragon and you do it. But the walking part is no problem, because I like to walk. It's nice, and it's also fun to see how many steps you actually can walk in one breathing out. And I like this feeling when you are running out of air and you get this shittling in your body. I don't know, it's a perverse way I like it, to get this feeling, to keep it in your body. But yes, of course I will continue.
So what is your the idea if people are get this diagnosis of glioblastoma or some other aggressive brain tumors, gliomas or astrocytomas, GIPG, is it possible, is it doable to do what you do?
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I mean, I can't understand people who don't want to do it, because if you get such a serious disease, you have to do what you can do. And yes, absolutely. And what they have done, I mean, where I was for half a year ago, I couldn't, impossible believe I would be here in this shape for half a year ago. Misha said to me, you will come down to look like you did for 30 years ago. And of course it was, I couldn't believe that, but he said that. So, yeah.
So that's what people they cannot really understand that it's you. Again, you told me.
No, like that's very surprised. And you have to, the first thing you have to say is, I'm not sick, that's not why I look like I'm doing. I just feel good. So, but I have been in I went into a hole. I call it a hole when I got this disease. I haven't seen so many people until recently. So it's so few people have seen me through the whole period. So they have seen my development. But most of my friends, absolutely most of my friends and family didn't see me for a long time. So of course they got, what? Is it you? And then I had to say, yeah, but I'm not sick. It's not because I just lost lots of weight and I feel. So yeah.
So do you still have this little area where you can feel and you can see that you had an operation?
Yeah, I can feel it. And I lost all the hair from the radiation. And they said to me, the hair you lose maybe will come back. But you have to expect not. But the hair is coming. The hair is coming. I can feel it's not big, but the reason I'm very shortcut now is not to cover this big, but it's coming.
So what about, how does it feel to come back to train again, to rehearse violin and thinking about making some concerts?
I haven't done it yet. I'm starting now very slowly to come into the theatre, to my orchestra, at least once per week. I'm starting soon. And after New Year's Eve I will start full time again, and or nearly full time. It has been lovely to be free, I have to say, to work with yourself, not have this stress, not have this, first time in your life you can only think about what you want to do yourself. And that's lovely. It's not always bad to get very sick, because you know some good things. You can really work with
So
yourself.
what did you learn from this process, if we can say, okay, it was good in some ways? What did you learn?
Oh, what did I learn?
About yourself, about your body?
It is possible to do something. It is possible to change. It is possible to learn something new.
What about this taking responsibility for your health, and how it looks like for the doctors? Because we used to tend to believe 100% what the doctors say. What is possible was not possible. And they say you're gonna die from glioblastoma. Was that right? You're gonna die from this. That's what they say.
The first doctor, 22nd of May, she said to me, when I asked her, that's dangerous. Yeah, but we see many patients who survive some years, and even 10 years, but you are going to die with glioblastoma, she said to me. And that wasn't so nice to get this message. And the doctor's reaction about when you ask me, can you do something? Can you do anything yourself? Can you do something? Can you change something? And they say, oh no, absolutely not. Absolutely not, they say. And that's the most scary things with it, because you can do something yourself. You can, of course you can do. And then the doctors, where you see them as very, how do you say, respected people in society, and when they tell you you can't do anything, just go home and live like you can't change this justice. That's really disturbing. That really destroys a lot, and for many people, because I have friends who have got this cancer diagnosis, and they have said, "Oh, I don't believe anything. I believe my doctors." And yeah, that has not always ended up very well for them. But opposite, they have friends who have a strong belief you can do things, and they have a very good life now. No one can tell in the future what will happen, but But yes, of course, I have learned a lot.
So
Absolutely.
did Anders that I worked with to reverse his leukemia, he helped you also saying that it's actually he took also responsibility for his health, and you can also do that.
Absolutely. I mean, Anders Fogh was enormous inspiration for me. Absolutely. And because when I met him, he was so nice, friendly, and so helpful in the beginning. Because he came out when I was feeling so shitty, and came out like a big sun and said, "This works. Look at me. This works really." And I don't know how bad it was for him, but I suppose he said it was very, very, very aggressive, dangerous what he had. And now, after all these 5-6 years, he had been working this method. He has never ever has it so good as he has. Ja, det är engelska det. Ja,
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
And so of course that gives you so much inspiration to meet people like that. It does. It helps a lot. Because when you sit there on your own and you only have 2 information sources, and that's one from the doctors, and then suddenly you met a person now like Mr. Shakar, you want to see the result, you want to see the proof, you want to see, does it help, does it work. And then when you meet a person, as you know as well as Anders Fogh, and you see, yes, it works.
Yeah.
That
great.
helps you.
Yeah, guys, that was interview with Gert Inge, and he's a great guy. It was a pleasure working with him. He's coming here tomorrow, actually, also to put together with his wife. So what he talked about the exercise. He's doing steps exercise. That's one of the crucial exercise in movement, and he will keep on doing it. He mentioned Frolov, that he hates, but he does it every day. It's boring. He used to do it 2 to 3 times before during the healing period, and now he's doing 1 to 2 times, and it's also okay. I think 1 is also enough in the maintenance period. And what he said, which is inspiring, he said, the tumor is still there. It's a kind of a dragon. He had this dragon for a long time, but now it's a helper dragon. Now, it's not an aggressive dragon, it's just a dragon that helps him to remember that he has something sitting in his head. And that's a crucial thing about this, remember. I told you about the cells. So when they manage to take out everything, it's basically, in the best situation, is 99%. And 99% is still 11 power of 10, which is 100 billion cancer cells. So that's what the dragon is about. And it's a crucial one to remember. And I keep on telling to people I'm working with, remember, when we stop the cancer, reverse the tumor growth, and we get rid of the tumor, it's only a first part of the story. The second part is to avoid the secondary tumors. That's why you have to be ready. And when people tell me, oh, when can I eat, things like again, but it's normally people when they start before the boot camp, they asking. But when they are in the boot camp, after 1 month, after 2 months, they are already understand. They know the story, that it's bringing them the health and their life back. And then it's a secondary question. I mean, the question is about life. What is enough to keep the life, okay? And he also says, these steps he's doing in this maintenance period, he likes the feeling of getting out of there, basically. And he also said that it was impossible to believe that he will be here in this shape, that like for 30 years ago. And that's the same thing for another client with leukemia, that with Anders. is another my client. He also looks like 30 years ago. People get surprised by the looks, and he say, no, I'm not sick. I'm just I shed 25 kilos or something. So and also he got his hair back. He lost hair from chemo, mostly radiation. The hair is coming. New hair is coming because we're working with hormonal normalization of the hormones. So what he said basically, it's not always bad to get sick, very sick, especially when you become healthy again. So you can look back at this. So it's not always bad to get very sick. So he learned that it's possible to make a change. And it's also possible to break the taboos. And the taboos are basically about that we can take responsibility for our health. Because medical profession, often in this very strong, hard situation, they say that no, absolutely no. It's nothing you can do. You're going to die from GBM. The doctor said directly to him, you're going to die from GBM. But when, we don't know. Can you do something? Absolutely not. Well, this message destroys many, many people. So if you have a doctor like this, you have to say stop. And you have to take responsibility for your health in your own hands. And that's my greatest, biggest message for you guys. Yeah. Okay. Let me, that's basically, there's also an interview, 20 minutes interview with his wife, but maybe we can take another time. I'd rather take the questions right now from you guys. So if you have any questions, please write to me. So there's a button right there. So I'm gonna answer all the questions that are asked through this button because it's a very nice button. We can time tag afterwards the answers, and when people watch the replay, they can go directly to a response of the questions. Okay. So the first question is from Boas Kirschenbaum. Have you seen in some people a relation between coffee consumption or electrolytes to CP time? Well, a good question. And what I saw that coffee is great. We love coffee, all of us. Like we also love many other things that we are really dependent on. So we are, it's very hard to break the dependency. Also for me, I have some coffee-free periods where I don't drink coffee and I'm only drinking water, basically. No tea, no coffee, like 4 weeks, 5 weeks. And then I drink coffee. And then I stop drinking coffee again because I love coffee. And especially where I'm not sick, I'm following the same protocols, breathing and nutritional. I'm carnivore, not eating carbs. Basically, I love carbs. I don't have any reactions, any kind of autoimmunity or reaction of intolerances. I love carbs. I love different kinds of vegetables, but I'm not eating that in order to know how it feels, basically, to be my clients. So, and I believe that it's healthy, and I lived like that for a long time now. So it's great. So, but coffee, yes, I'm drinking coffee. There can be a relation to electrolytes and to CP time. I'm not completely sure. I'm not completely sure. What I know is that people can have reactions on coffee. That's for sure. Firstly, because of when we are doing breathing exercises, we need really to do it not through control, not through forcing yourself, not through controlling yourself, not from using brute force or willpower. I say no, it's some fallacy to do breathing exercises this way. We want to do breathing exercises through relaxation. And the lower your heart rate, the better the relaxation. So without coffee, absolutely. I believe that the CP will be higher. Yes, absolutely. And then there's a lot of adverse reactions on coffee consumptions. Well, there's, I think, also some positive things with coffee, but basically it's a bean. So, and when people have reactions on beans, on lectins, they're also in the coffee. So that's it. And that's the question from Janet. Misha, you said it was okay to have part chicken and part beef bones in the bone broth, but not to eat poultry. What was the reason for not eating two-legged animals again? Thank you. Also, yeah, I cannot access. Boom. Good. Well, the reason is that, yes, we have very good collagens also in the chicken bones, but there's two things. First, the most of the chicken are really, if it's not ecological, organic chicken, which are pretty expensive, at least in Denmark, then there's a lot of toxins. There's a lot of medicine in this chicken. So, I believe that's the first thing. The second thing is basically the fats that we have in the four-legged animals are the best fats, and the red meat we have in and the amount of micronutrients that we have in the four-legged animals are different from two-legged animals, from poultry. That's what I understand, and that's also an experience from paleomedicina, which I respect very much. Dr. Shabatot and Sophia Clemens. That's what they do, so I follow them, and they have a lot of experience there. Also following the groups, many groups about carnivory, and they have the same. Many people have also adverse reactions from poultry, but not from the beef, from the lamb and pork. So that's the answer. And then we have a question from Bud, and we have two questions from Bud, basically. As discussed so thoroughly by Ray Peat, CO2 is not only a regulator of and produced by mitochondria, it creates them. The reduced breathing and concentration of CO2 resulting from reduced breathing and use of the Frolov device support mitochondrial respiration, not oxygen. Please address this as it is critical in what you do and teach. Thanks, Bud. Thank you, Bud, for reminding me. I respect Ray Peat very much, though I'm not 100% agree with him, not even 90%. But he's a very respectable person, and he knows physiology better than many scientists, other scientists. He's a scientist. So, yes, that's right. CO2 is not only a regulator by mitochondria, it also, high levels of CO2 promotes formation of new mitochondria, actually. That's right. So reduced breathing, and when we change the how we call it, sensitivity for carbon dioxide, we call it carbon dioxide threshold, through Buteyko breathing, reduced breathing, Frolov device, it supports mitochondrial respiration. I also believe that it oxygenates it creates better oxygenation of the normal cells. It also creates diminished formation of reactive oxygen species. It does, absolutely. I believe so too. So, thank you, Bud. Yes. And then we have another question from Bud. Why do you indicate a large aspect of genetics rather than epigenetics involved with disease? The far more dominant causal factors are epigenetic in nature and often have significant psychosocial contributors. Please address these. Remember that the Simmons helped people to reverse stage 4 terminal cancer, as well as enormous improvements in quality of life and extended life. This was done almost entirely by addressing the psychosocial aspect of clients' life, meditating 3-4 times a day. Very good question. Well, Bud, I'm talking about epigenetics all the time. I'm not maybe in this webinar. I'm not mentioning the word epigenetics, but epigenetics. That's what I'm working with all the time. That's what I'm saying. It's not the genetics. It's not the genetic code. It's how we experience the environment, how we react on the environment. Okay, we can also change the environment, and all of those things. It's epigenetics. It's over genetics. It's actually regulate how our genetic code is expressed. So it's absolutely right. And also psychosocial contributors. Also, that's why we are working with Hara Point, with one-pointed attention, very much, that I believe very much that we need to connect it. So I agree. It's very crucial addressing the psychosocial aspects. And that's why we have Q&As every single day, from Monday to Friday, 1 hour a day, where we're talking about psychosocial aspects. We are talking about how to use meditation. Well, we call it active meditation. We call it living silence or stillness in action. And that's the meditation with open eyes. So we also want to meditate 3-4 hours a day, basically through the exercise, thus prolonging the training time and creating a much stronger impact. Thank you, Bud. That's a question from Sandra. Can you recommend an online course to learn Buteyko? I don't have cancer, so I'm not in the target group for your bootcamp, but I have server CFS doing the diet already. Look, Sandra, I have the course you can take. I have the course in English that people are taking. Also, I have a course in Danish, so you can learn write to me, please, and I will give you a link. So yes, you can learn online course Buteyko with me, and not only Buteyko, but also dietary approach and how you can connect breathing with movement and breathing with mental part. I have actually also a site, a landing page about CFS. I have a chronic fatigue syndrome. You can, it's about chronic fatigue and ME, which are connected, not absolutely the same, but are connected. So please write to me. And you can take, also guys, please, we have a call to action here. You see the green button. It's called Diagnose with a Brain Tumor. So you can basically take 30 minutes, a free chat with me, online session. So if you have any question, you want to have some brainstorming, or if you want to attend to our webinar, to our intensive boot camps, So there's a link from my page from sakharov.com, but basically I want you guys to take before you enroll. You need to connect online with me for a free 30 minutes conference call. Here you have a link on the chat. Yes. So the next question, also from Sandra. I do meditation and yin yoga. A part of this is pranayama breathing exercises. Now, hearing about the Buteyko science, I wonder if some of the pranayama techniques is actually hyperventilation. Do you have any thoughts of this? Absolutely, Sandra. Very good questions. They are hyperventilation. And what I want to tell you is that very, very many yoga techniques are from the last century. They are not really old. The old pranayama, it's about breathing like a feather. Like a feather. So when you put the feather here, it does not really move. So this is what we call diminished breathing. So Buteyko and the old pranayama techniques are basically the same, different ways of serving it, but yes, that's many pranayama techniques are actually hyperventilation, and it's also what some Buddhistic meditation have as a component, and also Wim Hof technique is basically hyperventilation. So you boost kind of an adrenal reaction, but when people have something we call pregnenolone steal, and that results in a wrong distribution of hormones. That's a very big problem, because what they have adrenal fatigue, and for people with adrenal fatigue to teach hyperventilation of people with chronic fatigue syndrome, it's a very, very bad idea. I think we need to work with diminished breathing, and we need to work with making new mitochondria, as Bud mentioned before, and Dr. Ray Peat is also writing great articles about this. There's a lot of very interesting, and in my own article, I'm writing about many aspects of this. Our hormetic mechanisms of how we can do, how it reacts with synthesis of nitric oxide, how it works with reactive oxygen, nitrogen species, free radicals, how we work with oxygen extraction, how we make effective oxygen extraction, cell normoxia, which is normal oxygen for the cells, hypocapnia, vasoconstriction. There's a lot of nerve excitation, stabilized nerve excitation, also normalized mitochondrial respiration. There's many things where when we use asanas, they actually creating diminished our possibility to move, and also possibility to use our breathing muscles extensively. So what it results in diminished minute ventilation, and that's hypoventilation. That's what creates high levels of carbon dioxide, and that what creates many good effects for the regulation of metabolism. So absolutely, I would say do the old pranayama and do the Buteyko technique. Absolutely. Let me see. And that's also a question about Herxheimer's reaction, aggravations that can happen during the Buteyko training. Well, that's the reactions, adaptation reactions, that the same reactions we have when we change a nutritional regimen, when we change from using glucose as this main source for energy to using fats as a main source of energy. We also have Herxheimer's reaction. That's the cleansing reactions, and we go through that for some days, a week. And in breathing, we also have Herxheimer's reactions. We handle it well. We handle it by removing some of the triggers, and that could be some focal infections that will create Herxheimer's reaction. Also, a part of those reactions, it's not Herxheimer's reaction, but we also have something called a rebound effect, where we cannot really break through some levels of control powers, like 20, 25, very hard. We always come back. We never can break through. And that's because of focal infections. Herxheimer's reactions, we need to basically endure through that and refine our techniques. We have to work through relaxation, not through pushing ourselves, especially in the start when we do Buteyko training. But people, they have to stop basically understanding. They have to stop training in a way where we compete on time, on distance, on speed, on intensiveness, and a number of repetitions. It's not connecting with health. If we want to connect fitness with health and with breathing, with right breathing, we need to compete with ourselves on depth of relaxation in movement. And that's what will connect fitness and health together, also on the long term. So, and Herxheimer's reaction, a part of it at least, is also about the same, where we are pushing through, when we are doing where we are using our willpower instead of relaxation. We have to learn to use relaxation as the main regimen. And it's also, as Bud said, asked also, or commented, we need to connect it with our life purpose. We need to connect it with how do we think about death and dying as a part of life, basically. We have to also approach these things. We have to learn to do meditation, not only with closed eyes, that the Japanese samurai called for dead silence. We want to work with the real silence, which is living silence, that we can work with in our life actively, with open eyes. Okay? So, yeah. So that's we need to approach all of those things, absolutely, and we have to understand that the rat race of our lives, we need to really understand how to escape it, and not just escape it, how to create a new life regimen for yourself, guys. That's what we call lifestyle change. It's very, very crucial. Lifestyle change is not only about eating. It's not only about integrating breathing in your routines. It's not only about moderate movement. It's not about only moderation in, in eating, in walking, in breathing, in diminishing autoimmune reactions, also kind of moderation, but also moderation of thinking patterns, moderation of too much feeling, moderation of connecting feeling with too much thinking, basically stopping sensitivity. And what we want to train sensitivity, first to ourselves, and then to the world around us, to the people around us, to be more empathetic or empathic, feel sympathy and conscientious. And that's what we are also working with on our course, both on my small courses, and also on our intensive boot camps. And it's a very, very big part of my work. And that's my own protocols. We call it 5-stage rocket, where we connect, understand. That's the first thing we have to work with. It's physical basically physical stability and how do we call it? I forgot the word. Okay, guys, on my course, how do we call it? The first level in the first stage in the 5-stage rocket. Remember what we called it? Not stability. That's another word. But that's the physical part, and the physical part is how we stand, for example, how we walk, and if unless we target this, we cannot really reach good relaxation states in movement. Okay? So I call it structure. Now I have the word. That's a structure. It's your structure, physical structure. If that's the first level, then we go into the relaxation. Without structure, we cannot do relaxation. Progressive active relaxation that I'm working with. And then the third level, we can only reprogram our automatical breathing patterns through, thank you, Sandra, through structure and relaxation. Otherwise, we cannot reprogram our automatical breathing patterns. We will always be in a predominant sympathetic reaction. And we can only reprogram our brain from parasympathetic dominant state. And then the fourth level that's the level of focus. We're going higher and higher. We call it one-pointed attention. Very crucial. And then the highest level, we call it radical acceptance, or a fuck-up level. Yes, a fuck-up level. That's where we're making faults and errors. And we are just humans. We will always keep on doing it. Just another errors. Hopefully learning from our errors. Not doing 2, 3 the same kind of errors every second time, but maybe 2 maximum. And then making some other errors and learning more. Looking at errors as a stepping stones. And all of those things are crucial for to stop rat race of the life. And to understand the lifestyle change. It's about changing your life, how you see yourself in a context of your environment. And it's just like in the cellular microenvironment. So then you have yourself, your soul, or your understanding of yourself, or what you really want to do in your life. You have to approach all of those things. That's why sometimes it could be, for some people, it could be very, very hard to avoid working with spirituality. That's a very, very high level. And very often people are doing a shortcut directly to spirituality. And now that's a question. What is, it's like a chicken and egg. What came first, spirituality or physiology? Your body or your mind? It's an open question. I think we have to equalize say, okay, we need both, and we have to work with both. So, yes, physiology is very, very crucial. But sometimes we cannot really work with physiology unless we start addressing our some of the problems we have, some of the some of the problems, some of the questions that are unanswered, some of the challenges that we have from the maybe from not in the adulthood, but maybe we got them from our parents, and we're still bearing those paradoxes or the challenges. It's paradox, I think, because when we are adults, we need to kind of stop those. Okay, we are grown-ups, we are adults. We have to approach the things that have never been approached before in order to keep on living our adult life and be strong individuals with high levels of what we call, remember how we call it, and we call it here in this protocol. You see, we have something in the blue triangle. We have allostatic resilience triangle. And what is allostatic resilience? Well, allostasis is a concept of homeostasis, which is your body, like enclosed structure, with all of those different balances and disbalances, and connections and interdependencies, basically. And when we look at this homeostasis, we cannot just look at this without the environment. So we have to look at our ability to remain in strong homeostasis, come back to the middle in the environment, basically. So, and that's called allostasis. So allostatic resilience, that's the resilience of adult body that have learned all the most of the faults and the most of the challenges of growing up. So that's why we are called grown-ups, the adults. That's a part of our allostatic resilience. That's how we train, through connecting the mental part with physical part and with immunity. All of those three kinds of resiliences are crucial. Okay, so yeah, and that's why I'm an engineer and I'm working with health, because I see that we need to connect the dots, because we have to stop all these wars between different kind of practitioners that say, okay, breathing is most important. If you train breathing, you don't need to really think about nutrition. And then you talk to people that are working. Also, I have the same with some of my fellow Buteyko practitioners. And I have the same things with some of my people. Also doctors that I'm inspired with working with carnivores. Coming to the roots nutritionally. They say, oh, no, nutrition, that's the first thing. When you change nutrition, then you don't need to think about breathing. This is automatical. This is basically controlled by nutrition. I mean, no, it's not. No, it's not. And the same with movement. Well, we have to do moderate movement. And we don't need to compete, basically. And that's the same thing with mental training. We need to have a basis for normal functional of the neurons, for normal excitement patterns of the neurons, that we're establishing the background for this through breathing and nutrition and movement, and a lot of other things. Okay, guys, I can see there's 2 other questions here came, and one question is from. Is that right or not? Oh, that's a question from Remy France. Can near-infrared light therapy be helpful in boosting CP? Look, Remy, maybe, I don't know. Sometimes I need to say, I don't know. But I know that on our boot camp, there's a couple of people right now that are using different devices, different, both infrared sauna and some light therapy, other kinds of light therapy. So it could be. Let's see. I don't know. But there are resources you can. I think yes. I think basically light therapy has a very big influence on the normal function of the cells. So I think it has, but I don't know. Sharon, a question about good posture. Am I ever allowed to have a good slouch? Yes, absolutely. You can have a good slouch. But not if you are training breathing, and not if slouch is your favorite position during the day. Then not, because good posture, and we are training good posture a lot in the courses. And if you guys, you want to, we have courses that are not so intensive as our intensive boot camps. Just write to me if you want to know more about the courses, both in English and Danish. Actually, I also have courses in Russian. They are not marketed yet, but we have them. So we filmed a lot the last 6 years. We have a lot of material. Okay, good posture starts basically both from the feet and from the head, and then coming to the middle. Head is a very it's a very heavy object that have a very strategic position. So the good posture starts with tucking in, starts with watching directly parallel to the horizon, relaxing in the jaws and the tongue, around the 5 muscles around the eye, about putting the shoulders into the sockets and adjusting the hips, untucking the tail, adjusting the position of the feet, adjusting the angle of your knees. There's a lot of other things, and we are working a lot with posture, with structure. So it's a very big one. Yeah. So yes, I maybe can explain it on another webinar. Right now we're running out of time, and guys, I want to say thank you very much. It was really great. I'm very happy that the technique worked, and our new my new studio setup worked with a good bit rate of 1200 kilobit per second. That's really good. And I hope guys you enjoyed the webinar. So remember, you have a possibility to push the button there. That's called Diagnosed with Brain Tumors. Book a free 30-minute call with me. And also if you have other kinds of cancers, also if you want to have any kind of brainstorming about the course or something else, taking a Buteyko course, extended Buteyko course, or if you want to be a practitioner of Sakharov protocol, I'm starting my I'm taking actually experienced Buteyko practitioners, mostly people that really knows about physiology, and so if they want to work with cancer. So I have already several people that want to start in January. So if you are interested, please write to me, and my mail is Misha at Sakharov.com. Okay, please write to me directly. If you have brain tumor and want to come on our intensive boot camp, please write to me or take 30 minutes session. It's free. Guys, from now on, I'm having the webinars on Tuesdays, exactly the same time, and I'm looking so much forward to inspire you with lots of other things. If you feel that I did not answer some of your questions, please write directly to me, and I will take them in the next session. Or please write to me if you have some ideas. What do you really want to talk about in connection with cancer and lifestyle? Please write directly to me to this address, misha@sakharov.com, and tell me what you really want to have a webinar about. Please give me some feedback. Guys, I love you all. I'm sending you the hearts here, the 5 hearts. It's a great number. Okay? And thank you guys for joining. It was really great. See you next Tuesday. Hi guys.